Okay, you want to get Ken at first when he makes the introduction, and then you can focus on Mr. Messer.
Do you want me to say something about the purpose of this video, or just saying?
Yeah, if you want to. And the co-op.
And you can start anytime you're ready, sir.
Hello, I'm Ken Carpenter, General Manager of Appalachian Electric Cooperative. I have the opportunity today to do this interview with Roy Messer, the President of the Board of Appalachian Electric. Roy is one of the older board members in the state of Tennessee for the Electric Cooperative Association, and has served as president of our board for a number of years. Roy has been around this area when there was no electricity, and I thought it would be interesting if we could sit down and talk with Mr. Roy and get some of his opinions and comments on the days when there was not electricity, the electricity was not available, and get some of his comments on what he thought of the TVA, the area, and some of his boyhood events that plays a very important part and a very important role of Appalachian Electric and electric service today. Mr. Messer, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking time out to come out for this interview and to share some of your thoughts with us.
I'm glad to be here.
Roy, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Where were you born?
Haywood County, North Carolina, 1902.
1902.
In Maggie Valley, North Carolina, 2 mile out of Maggie Valley.
Are you what made Maggie Valley famous?
No, I was there though. Had a little post office there at Maggie. Not there anymore. I used to walk to school 2.5 miles. Went to Rock Hill High School. I had a grammar school and high school. It's not there anymore. They went to Waynesville. They consolidated with Waynesville. Several years ago, after I left there.
Well,
and I come to Tennessee in 1922.
1922.
22, raised my family in White Pine.
Let's go back a little bit to the high school days. Did you participate in sports over there?
Well, basketball.
Basketball players?
Yeah.
How would you compare yourself with some of the basketball players today?
Well, I'm not that good. I never did make the pros.
Okay. Born in Maggie Valley, how many children were there?
My family?
In your family?
11.
11 children.
I was the baby.
You were the baby.
Yeah.
11.
11 of us.
What brought you to Tennessee?
Well, I married a girl, a Methodist preacher's daughter, and he is at Parisville, Tennessee. I visited him on Christmas, and he talked me into buying a farm with him there in Parisville. He was afraid I was going to take his girl out of town. So that's how I come in there, and then I keep the preacher in White Pine, and I sold my farm over there, and he talked me out of moving to White Pine. That's how I come in White Pine. And I raised my family in White Pine. We got 3 daughters. My oldest daughter was 69 in December.
Where does she live?
She lived in Birmingham, Alabama. Her husband's a Presbyterian preacher down there. I've got one daughter then lives in Salisbury, North Carolina. Another one in Pennsylvania, Morristown, Pennsylvania.
Morristown, Pennsylvania.
And my youngest daughter. Yeah. I have 12 grandchildren, 13 great-grandchildren.
Do you get to see
And
them
I've had a
often?
big time with all of them. How's that?
Do you get to see them often?
Well, I've seen two of them Christmas and New Year. Went to Salisbury Christmas, Birmingham New Year's. Had about 10 days of them there.
So you said that you had a farm. Is that what you did
in
for
Parisville.
business?
I started out farming. Like starved to death on that farm. So I could sell and get away from there.
Then what did you do? Did you go into business?
No, followed an old Model T truck, 1.5-ton truck. Got in the trucking business, a livestock business, and so on. Then I bought this business in 1927 in White Pine. That's what I wound up with, 56 years.
What kind of business?
Used cars, garage, and gasoline. I was on a gas station in a 7-mile radius there, and I just sold 3,000 gallons a month. Now then, there's a lot of stations around White Pine selling 30 and 40,000 gallons. That's the difference. Yeah, I was in business through the Depression. And all I like being broke is the bank to holler at me. If he'd ever hollered, I was broke. I couldn't pay the interest on my money. Jefferson County, broke. I had school warrants, board warrants, school teacher trading with me. I had buses. Couldn't get the warrants cashed. Couldn't get the banks wouldn't have them. I couldn't discount and get rid of them. So that like to broke me, but I had them at the right time when things got picked up. I sitting all right then. Everybody wanted them in.
You said you were in the trucking business.
Yeah, I had a one truck, not one Model T. Didn't have a heater, didn't have a starter on it. It was the kind that broke your arm if you cranked.
What did you haul?
I hauled everything, livestock, and I'd buy livestock, and then I'd haul for other people, move people. I remember moving Dr. Redmond. He was a dentist in Alfredown.
Yeah?
That's when they had that there police tower there in front of Regis's. And I turned right in the street, and he kept blowing at me, but I just kept. No Model T. Them big days I got out of it, I seen I didn't want my trucking business.
I remember one time you were telling me about a story about hauling some pigs to Knoxville.
Yeah, hogs. I had a wreck going on one-way street down the East Tennessee Pack and come across the Baptist Hospital down there. It's not there, I guess. And they made a one-way street out of it 2 days before, and I didn't know it. Me and this partner of mine, he was driving an old Graham Bernstein truck. You don't remember that?
No, that's before my time.
And the fella came up through, and we got stopped right in the middle of the street, but he didn't. He was driving normal. So he wrecked there, and we rolled off and unloaded our hogs and come home, got somebody to bring us home, and he sued us.
How did it come out?
Well, he swore Julius Hale and Court Rankin was my lawyer, and they asked him if he could have went around on either side or got stopped. He said, yeah. The court said, well, why didn't you? And that won the lawsuit for him.
What did he say?
Said he didn't have to. Said he didn't have to stop her going. It was right funny, but well, we got stopped. This partner of mine was driving and had a big emergency brake stick way up. I had to hold it. It like threw me through that windshield. And them hogs squealed. We didn't get no hogs, though. Didn't kill them.
Didn't lose any of your
well.
livestock, huh?
That's some funny. That was one of mine.
Do you remember the year you got electricity?
Yeah.
About what year was that?
About 19, and well, we had a little old crank-up deal there, a steam engine in White Pine made. And it had 4 or 5 lights, or 10 or something. And he'd turn them off on us at night. But about 1930, I guess that Tennessee Public Power or something had the line in there for the TVA come, you know. But I signed up for TVA in 1940.
Yeah.
And what was the system that you had before with
Wasn't it Tennessee
generator?
Electric Power?
Tennessee Electric Service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had something you cranked?
Well, no, this was an old boy from, he had a mill there. And he had a steam engine, and he made a little power there at night.
Oh.
Yeah. Gay Feltner was his name, out of North Carolina. But it didn't.
Did you ever have a Delco system?
No, but I've traded for several. When I was in the electric appliance business, I'd trade for them.
You would?
Yeah, I traded several. Sold Clarence McCorkle. He was talking about it yesterday. Delco system. Yeah, he lived out in the country and didn't have electricity.
Uh-huh.
But I was signed, I think 1940 at TVA's, that's when I got on TVA stuff.
Do you remember when you first found out that TVA was coming into the area? How did you find out about it?
Well, they kept built the Norris Dam, you know. And from there to Cherokee and then Douglas. And I went down to Norris when they were building it. I guess I ought to tell this, you can cut it out if you want to. Me and his partner went in there and we knew it was a shovel runner from White Pine. We wanted to see him and he was way down the hall. This guard said, no, you can't go down there. And this partner of mine pretty sharp. He said, what's your number, boy? Talked to him and said, well, you boys can go on down. We got to go down and see that fellow. And he's paying him 40 cents an hour, and he's a shovel. He's an old, cool steam shovel man. He didn't like that electric, but he had on electric. He's a good shovel man. That's all he'd ever done. And he paying him 45 cents an hour. Now, that same man be getting 20, 25, or $30 an hour. Yeah. But he's a good man. He's a good shovel man. He helped build this earth dam over in Columbia, South Carolina, I believe where it at. That was the last job he had, and he like starved to death. I helped him. I furnished him his gate. We got to play in the grain market, me and him and the partner. We got our loss. We had $600 in that deal down there, and they took bankrupt loan. We lost it, plus all we had, everything else we had. We didn't do no good. We got in the middle there. If we sold, we lost, and if we kept it, we lost. That broke me from the stock market.
Were people excited to think about TVA coming in and being able to get
Yeah, they didn't believe it was coming. I had a lot of them. I'm going to tell you what I've done. I won a little money on Douglas stuff. I'll tell you, that can go out. But they didn't believe he was going to come. Because McKellar, this fellow, was fighting it so hard. That's what they was banking on. He was fighting Douglas there. But I figured he'd come. Well, I'm pretty sure it would. And I think that maybe they didn't come. Back then, them farmers was all broke up and down Douglas. They was all broke. Doc Huggins, a big cattleman, but that set them up. They covered them Cuckleburs and Johnson grass up and went to clean up these hills and they're making 200 bushel corn an acre now and just making about 20 back before you fertilize and muscle shoals. That's what got your farmers going, is that fertilizer research did. Mm-hmm. But Cherokee, I was in the car business, and I had a little old bus running over a taxi deal. And I give one old boy, he let him ride free to drive it, see. Riding Cincinnati and buying cars, and I could have bought a Rolls Royce for $450 nearly new. And could have bought a Cadillac for $150, and that's what I wanted to buy and put on this taxi deal. And I called this partner of mine, no, too much money.
What year was that?
39.
1939.
39. That's when they built the Cherokee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wrong. And I ought to bought that
Rose?
little broadcast. Been worth $200,000 or $300,000.
Yeah.
But $450, you folks don't realize what $400.
That was a lot of money.
20 Model A Fords at the same time, and never did crank them for $20 a piece, and some of them nearly new. They pulled each other in from Cincinnati. I never did. 20 in that there, you see, that's the same deal.
How much you pay for 20?
$20 a piece.
$20 a piece.
You know, he wanted 30 and offered him 20. He said, okay, let's go in here. And I never did crank them, didn't get that close with them from here down, just looking off a platform there. I didn't know what I'd bought. I didn't tell this partner of mine that I didn't look at.
What was it like before you had electricity? What was daily life?
Them old lamps, you don't know a thing about them old coal lamps. They'd smoke up the globe, you know. That's what you studied by. But my daddy bought this carbide deal set up back when I was a boy. And boy, that was lights. That's good lights. And we lived uptown on people. We was about 7 miles out of Waynesville. And that's about as close as any electricity was Waynesville, you know. But them was good, but he wouldn't let us spin on but one. He'd had to go out pretty soon. He didn't let it burn too long. He didn't know. But it was good to study by. And them old lanterns, we'd pass them up, lanterns, you know. And go to feed, go to the barn, you had to have a lantern. Yeah.
Was it your?
Got on a mule or a horse, and If you walk, you're in trouble. Through them woods in the dark, you just like run on a cow. I run on a cow one night going home, she bawled, and they scared me. But
What were you doing out in the woods at night?
well, I was courting a little and going home, you know. You either walked or rode a mule back then. I had a buggy. My daddy bought me a buggy, a pole buggy, with rubber tires on it. That was your big.
Is that what you
Cadillac.
courted in?
Huh?
Is that what you
I did a
went
little
courting
bit of
in?
that, and I got 2 ponies I put in that buggy. Boy, I was uptown. Told them about the girls, they liked that buggy. Get you right there.
Are you trying to tell us?
A horse with a side saddle. Did you ever see a side saddle?
I've seen one.
Okay, I had one.
Are you trying to tell us that you was a ladies' man?
Side saddle, huh?
Are you trying to tell us you was a ladies' man?
No, I just didn't do me. Wouldn't fool with me much. Anyway, I'm done all right.
Okay, you all just go.
Get through it here pretty soon, don't
Oh, yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
I? Well, I could talk all week.
Do you remember when they came through building the transmission lines into
Oh, yeah.
to your house?
I was an electric power. I was in the electric appliance business at that time. And they ever put up a pole and light, I was there to that house. And I had a boy that wired those houses for me. I'd want them to give them a turnkey job if I could sell them a refrigerator and a stove and a radio and washing machine. And that's where I sold a lot.
So you do the wiring and
Yeah,
sell
I had
them
an
all
old
to
boy
the
do the wiring for me, one of the Overholt boys. And we'd wired that old big house that Hub was down there, and the wall was 18 inches thick. I don't know how he ever did it, but he did. But I sold the old boy, then I filled his house full of stuff.
Now, when electricity became available or came past the road, you would have a man to go down and wire the house?
Well, yeah, if they wanted me to, if they wanted to wire it themselves, I did. But I was always there trying to sell them some. I didn't sell everybody, but I sold a lot of them.
And then you would sell them the refrigerator and what else?
Stove and washing machine, mostly.
Washing machine.
And a radio now and then. I was selling that Water Kent radio. A lot of them was battery deal.
Did you do your own financing at that
No, we
time?
financed through CIT. That's too much that can. We financed through CIT Corporation.
Yeah.
But I had to go see everybody. Some of them were slow, wouldn't pay, and I'd have to go collect with them. We got to finance our own automobiles. We financed them.
Yeah.
But
Were
that,
people anxious to get the electrical appliances?
yeah, they wasn't. They ever got them in there. If you could let them have them, use them over the weekend. One old boy wasn't going to let me set one in over in Cobb County, the little old place they call Foot Town. And so his wife wanted, but I stayed down with myself. I didn't send the old boy being a going, wasn't doing no good, and I thought I'd. And I begged him to let me set this refrigerator in over the weekend, let him make ice cream and whatnot. So he didn't want, but I did. Finally let me, and I set her in, and he wouldn't go to church. His wife said, and they stayed home, made it. I didn't have, and I sold him washing machine, stove, and that refrigerator, and even wired his barn. I had it lit up like a town over there.
So your strategy was that you let them try it
Yeah,
and
that-
see
that
how
was-
good it was going to be, and then you could sell it.
Oh, and Hardware is in the electric farm. They had it sold up, and they said it never worked. That's demonstrating a refrigerator. Never have done it, but and I set in 10 one weekend and sold 9 of them, so it did work.
Back when they were building the lines in to the areas to serve the people, a lot of the people voluntarily agreed to clear right-of-ways and
Yeah,
stuff
they
like
did.
that.
They, you know, Mr. Hale and them was all out of working at that thing. I really never did work at that end of it much. I was too busy trying to make a living, I guess. But J.D. Hale and Jim Bell's daddy and all of them was out of working at that thing.
W.P. Bell?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and they was getting that done, and I was selling them stuff. Trying to. I didn't sell everybody. But I had to get out of the electric appliance business. I bought a place on the highway, and I didn't have room for everything. We just went strictly to used cars, you know.
Was it a little different back then in people wanting the electricity to come and being willing to let the company put the poles wherever
Yeah.
they needed to be, as opposed to today where we have so many problems with the
Well,
right.
we had problems, big problems then. They didn't want to cross their place to let their neighbor get it. See, we had that kind of, we did in the later years there, I remember. Well enough, and it's not the same deal now, you know. You got some birds will knock their neighbor out of electricity, won't let you go across them. We had that trouble back in too, and people didn't understand, didn't think you wanted it, you know. And your electric bill was about $4 or $5 back in, and they griped in just like they gripe now. It's 150 now, and they gripe, and it's about 5 in. Same place, same people, no different much.
Did people understand exactly what electricity was, or were there any fears of it?
Yeah, they was. They was afraid of it.
What did they think about it?
Well, they was afraid they'd touch it or something, you know. They're a little careful. I was a little dubious myself. I've had to run off my elbow testing out a hot water heater, standing in that water.
I've heard
I never
of,
was no electrician. I don't very little about electricity. Ken knows that. I don't even, what little I know he's told me about.
I bet. I've heard of older people talking about when electricity became available that they weren't letting that evil stuff in their house. Do you remember those
Oh, yeah,
tales?
they some people, you know, they still some of them that way now. They want them gas heaters, which I'm scared to death of these gas heaters. I want you to put that in there, too.
Yeah, I am too.
Listen, they blow up and killing everybody in the country. And it's no cheaper.
That's right.
You compare them, and electricity is the cheapest. They've got done proved that, and I don't know why people will go for that junk.
Yeah. Just
I don't.
perceptions that are wrong.
We talked about that yesterday, Mr. Messer, and we were talking about why people would end up paying 2 bills instead of 1 bill and end up paying more for their utilities
That's
than
right.
they
But
did.
these gas people are doing a better job of telling them, I believe, than we are.
Well, we're
I
working
believe
on
they're
that.
outdoing us. They're getting people brainwashed. You watch the TV, and they'll show where they're so much cheaper than we are.
Whoa.
But they won't compare it like Johnson City's talking about your comparison.
They don't tell the whole story.
I took some literature from Johnson City over to our board meeting one night.
The dare to compare
Yeah.
Yes,
program.
right, in Johnson City.
Were there a lot of jobs created for people in the communities back when? the
Yeah,
lines
these
being
dams,
built?
these TVA created it. Well, they're the one that made this section. TVA's on, they've made this valley.
How's
Every
that?
good thing that's happened in this valley, TVA has been responsible, either incorrect or direct.
What are some examples of some things?
Well, it's farming, just any churches, farming, schools, you mention it, and they've been on it. Creating industrial, wouldn't have had anything. They're responsible indirectly or directly for every good thing, I think. They've helped you. Take Inca Corporation, none of them had been here in East Tennessee. These automobile factories still are playing a big part. Which I know everything hadn't been right with them, I know that too, but the big end, they've been right big end of the time.
So the purpose of the TVA Act has been carried out as far as economic development and the way of life and so forth.
That's right, and the standard of living has really picked up. Your farmers, this year research on your fertilizer, like I went over a while ago, making 200 bushel of corn an acre now, and they're making 20 back when I was a farmer. Tobacco, 800 pounds an acre, now they make 400 pounds, and this fertilizer is responsible for that. And these fertilizer people would never research, but the TVA had to do it. I don't know why the government wants to cut their appropriation on that myself.
There's a lot yet to be done, isn't
Oh, it's all to be done yet. It's getting worse every year. There's more to be done now than it was when it started, in a way, I think. Because you've got more people to serve and more things to do. I think they've done a good job overall, TVA has. Had some good men down there. I've had a few that I like better than others, and I'm not going to mention them few I like, because Ken...
I would appreciate if you didn't.
No. I started to call him the other day, and Ken wouldn't let me. Anyway, we had good folks down there, I think. Good folks. And I like TVA. And our co-op's done good on them, too.
How long have you been associated with Appalachian Electric?
Well, 34 years, I guess. I mean, I've been on the board for 33 or 4 years. I went on in 59. Isn't that 34 years or something?
We're on your 34th year,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I never had no opposition. I've been lucky. I wouldn't have been there again. Anybody that ever ran against me.
How many managers have you worked with?
3.
3 managers.
Roy Hendricks and Charlie Bolton and you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had good managers and good staff. Everybody's been good. We had good board members there. I feel like we got one of the best in the state. May be wrong, but I feel like it. And I think they give up. We're doing a good job. I think TVA might know that.
Have you had good relationships with TVA over these years?
Yeah, we have, haven't
Yes, we have.
we? We don't always agree, but we've had good.
What do you think is the most significant thing that changed as a result of electricity coming? What changed the most as far as families and...
Well, the standard of living's really stepped up. You've got indoor toilets now, and you've got... I educated my children. I didn't have water in 41. And I run water off of barns, the first bathroom I ever had, and poured it off a barn down into the house. And a girl bringing them friends of theirs from college home, it's a little embarrassing, but you didn't got nothing you can do about it. All that's been, you can't hardly mention nothing it hadn't been. I don't know which would be my first priority on the thing. So many good things has happened, I don't know.
What do you think is the one electrical appliance that's changed our lifestyles the most?
Well, I guess a refrigerator.
Why is that?
Well, it keeps your food. You can have food in deep freezers. Where I grew up, you couldn't have beef or nothing. No ice or no electricity either. We had plenty of pork, but no beef.
Yeah.
But you can have all that stuff now at home. I'd say refrigerators might be, and these heat pumps is pretty good too. But they've about anything. All these appliances have helped out. Your hair curlers, they come in handy, don't they?
That's true.
You can't mention all of it's been good, but I wouldn't know which to pick. I'd say I'd pick a refrigerator.
Well, what about water heaters? Don't you remember the old
Water heaters good too.
stoves that had the jackets on?
Oh yeah, and had a stove. A wood stove had a water jacket on it, you know, to heat your water. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Had a water jacket on the side and had heat.
Do you remember that, Esther?
No.
Actually, I remember having a wood-burning stove, and we didn't have indoor plumbing in the house I grew up in until 1970.
Well, I think that's
Somewhat later.
that's one of the things. This indoor water and sewer is be another, and I guess that might be my priority.
Yes.
Because I went through life nearly without that and raised my family with. A little embarrassing. Roosevelt come along with pretty good. He made them.
Go on.
Them there outside toilets, they're fly-proof, he said. You better cut that out.
What does fly-proof mean?
Well, that wouldn't, the flies wouldn't get around in there.
I'll tell you later.
I'll tell one right now, but I guess I better not about,
That's okay, go ahead.
about this grandson visiting his granddaddy. He's from New York, coming up to Tennessee. He didn't have, had the outside toilet, and he wanted to go with this grandson. He said, well, right out there in that bush. And he went, and this ain't too nice. Ricky come back and said, Granddaddy, I can't do a thing. He said, them flies eating me up. He said, well, you go back. And said, your grandmother's going to ring the dinner bell in a minute, and they'll all head for the dinner. You better leave that off, Al. When you brought up about the flies, Virginia told me when I left home, quit not be talking that kind of junk.
Well, see,
She warned me about that.
see, Virginia's not here today, so you can tell
Don't you
anything
tell
you
her,
want to.
or she'll be hard.
You can tell her anything
Well, you can
want
mark all that junk out now.
We'll take care of it.
So you would say that you think the refrigerator's changed lifestyle?
Well, I think so, yeah.
Back in the early time, it
Yeah,
probably...
I think it did. Because I think I'd miss it worse than anything. I believe I would.
Yeah.
But you'll miss them lights. You just can't do it without electricity now since you've got it, you know. I don't know how in the world we ever did anyway.
Did you ever have
Sanitation stuff, it was sad just like this little boy, you know.
Did you ever have an electric blanket?
Yeah, got one now. I love it.
Do you love how many quilts did you have on your bed before you got the electric
You
blanket?
put in feather beds. I used to sleep when I was a boy in a feather, under a feather. They had one under and one over. And then you'd see the snow going through them cracks. Yeah.
That's back in the hard times.
Yeah, my daddy finally built us house. Cut the timber on his farm and built it. And I was up there here a while back, and it's grown up around his soul, and all of that was just growing up. Made you feel sort of bad.
What do you think about radio and television? Do you think that changed?
Well, that
Changed us quite a bit when they
there's some, but not for me especially. I watch the news and maybe a ball game on TV about all. Some people hipped on them their TV or sit up all night. I don't do it. I like radio and TV, but I can do it without them, I think.
Do you remember before you had a radio? Before electricity
yeah.
and the radio?
I
What
sold
did you do
one
for
of the first-
entertainment back then?
Well, playing basketball out in the garden. I played basketball after I was married in Parsville. Tore up a knee out there on that old outdoor court with a bunch of married people and wasn't in shape. And we'd get together and lie and go on around the store, you know. Still,
Did you ever have a battery operated radio?
Yeah, I sold a lot of them.
You did.
Yeah, that water can.
I bet you
I
remember.
aged you for that.
I bet you remember the days of Gabriel Heater, don't you? And the news.
Oh, all them days when the first. Yeah, I remember the first never I had. It was the president of 19 and 22. They was running and they had earphones there at Parsville. They had one at over at the store we was loafing. We'd take time about listening. Yeah, and then I sold them things. Sold a lot of them battery deals. Fairbank Morris and that water Kent's what I sold. I about forgot the names of them.
None of those are still available today, are they?
Oh, no. No, none available. I remember the first TV they showed me down Sam McClung's in Knoxville. That's where I was getting a lot of my appliances, and they had one you could see about 100 yards on. First time I ever looked at it. And I thought, oh, boy, that's all. They'll never get that thing. You know, but that was the first time I ever, then it was in Cleveland, Ohio, the first big TV I ever looked at.
How much did TVs cost back then?
Well, TV, I don't remember when my first one seemed like I bought a good big cabinet deal for $200 or $300. Big, nice cabinet deal.
Mm-hmm.
Just,
But in relation today, that was a lot of money, wasn't it?
oh Lord, yeah. My highest price refrigerator, if I'd sell, was about $125. I sold Governor Hooper Newport one is 9 foot, a little more than that, and it took everybody in White Pine to carry it as it is. Didn't have nowhere back in and roll them. Didn't have no buggies or nothing. We just picked them up and carried them.
You're talking about Governor Hooper, governor of the state of Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't governor then, but he lived at Carson Springs. And
Right.
he called me, his wife did. Said that old refrigerator smelled. She couldn't stand it no longer. I went up there and she had got his open unit, you know, and a big old rat had got in. They'd call you in, they'd be unplugged. And they called you something wrong with it back then. And they'd go and all you do is just plug it in. We had a lot of calls like that.
Did you provide service to your customers?
Yeah, I had a mechanic. My garage was my biggest boy.
Did you ever meet Mr. Roosevelt?
No, I didn't. I never did. But I went. He seen him when he went to coming and done the park over here. But I never did meet him. Never seen him. But I liked him. He's the man that raised my family and educated my family. And got me my TVA and him and Norris, you know. Yeah. Norris been trying to get this TVA for years. Nobody, no president, nobody go along with him until Roosevelt was elected. Norris was a Republican senator, you know. That's the reason they named Norris down there. Good man.
Did you meet him?
No, I never did meet him. Never met him. I was busy back in them days. I was trying to make a living. It's hard to make a living back in them days. I was doing a little everything.
What do you think the people in the community back when TVA was announced and it began to happen? What was the feeling of the people?
Well, here's the feeling it wasn't going to do no good, not go. That was a big feeling with most of them old boy country boys, you know. We had just a few boys that were working at that, around getting that electricity. Like J.D., he took a big hand in it, you know, and done all the legal work. But they pick up anybody he could, they'd go out and see these farmers. But they still loaned, you know, and TVA put a line through White Pine, they loaned them and everything else. Substation at Oak Grove, they offered Donald James so much money, and he took it to court, and they gave him $10,000 less money.
Yeah.
Why did they object?
Well, they just didn't much claim he's a mess in the land. We can't buy nothing from him now, can we?
No.
Anyway, some people like that. But they need to trouble this young folks. They don't know what doing without electricity is. They didn't always had it. My wife's always had it and had indoor toilet. She lived in Morristown. They had that lights and indoor stuff. She don't know nothing about doing without that either.
You mean she's never lived without electricity?
Never. She was born, I guess, in 1918, and Morristown had, you
Well,
know.
that'll get you in trouble.
Huh?
That'll get you in trouble.
Tell them her
So
age.
she got a
Tell her
birthday
age.
right now in a few days.
27th, 28th?
Huh? 28th. I've got an anniversary, Christmas, birthday all together.
Really? Your birthday's Christmas?
No, hers.
Hers is. Oh.
No, they were born, they were married
23rd day.
2 days before Christmas.
And then I got Christmas, then I got try to get by cheap, but I don't.
Or were you, when you were in business back in those days when TVA was first coming in, were you involved at that time in politics?
I've never been too much of a politician.
Says who?
Yeah, I was a squire. I was I was a justice of peace back then, but I was on the alderman in 1932.
1932.
One time. And that done me. I've never been. I went to a board meeting the other night. It's the first board meeting I've been to since I was out. I went the other night. My friend in Knoxville called me. Sits at the ball game with me.
So you served on Jefferson County Court?
Yeah, 12 years. And then I was road commissioner 17 years. I had about 28 years with the Jefferson County Road Department and all.
Did you ever serve on the school board?
No, never served on the school board. I worked for the school board for him, and J.D. Hill was on there, and Chester Ringwald. I worked with him pretty close down, but I never was on the school.
What years were you on the county court?
Well, 1940, 45, and now I'm in county court when this letter was. I don't remember just what year I was off.
Well, did you have an opportunity during that those years to help any in helping people to understand TVA and
Yeah,
why
I
it was
think so.
coming
I
and
think so. Yeah.
getting over the hurdles?
Yeah, I think we did. Now, see, I was in county court then, and that's how I come in to write this letter to County McKellar. They asked me to write him a letter on this get some tax refund, and now we're getting it now, some, I think. I think the TVA pays Jefferson County some tax. Yeah, I was there. Then I was in the road commissioner for 17 years, I believe it was. Ray Gibbons was the man. I was the man that got this man his job.
You think you had anything to do with improving the roads in Jefferson County?
Well, we didn't have no gravel roads when I quit. One wooden culvert when I got off.
So everything had already been
Everything
replaced.
widened and blacktop, not hot mix. I was in there and bought this hot mix plant.
I believe you have a road named after you, don't
Oh,
you?
wait a minute now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best road in the state, it was. They're going to build a lot of them. Like, it's just like a half of a interstate.
Exit 4 off of
Yeah, 3
I-81.
miles. Just 3 miles of
That's
it, but
Roy
it's
Messer
good road.
Boulevard that goes into White Pine. My daughter, when she was younger, she asked Mr. Messer if he was named after the road or the road was named after him.
Yeah, well, I've had good time all my life. I've had a good time. Yeah, I've had a few rough times, but I've had been overall. Good Lord's been good to me. 90 years here, you know.
Still in good health?
Never had a doctor till a year or
You
two
mean
ago.
tell me
and
you're
I
90 years
married
old?
him.
You mean tell me you're 90 years
90 or
old?
19 too, you can figure for yourself.
Well, I didn't realize you was that old.
My baby's older than you folks.
What do you contribute your good health to?
Oh, wait, I know you're going to ask that. I told Virginia what I was going to say, and she said I'd better not.
Go ahead.
Well, I love being busy and something doing, going. People like Ken have been nice to me. All this work. Yeah, I've got too much going now. I can't do no job like it ought to be done. Too many things are going.
You think keeping busy and
Yeah, I
keeping
think that's the
active is
big
the
thing.
key?
I think that's the big thing.
Having good friends
Good
and
friends,
good support.
I've outlived all my enemies. Yeah, I hope I've got a lot of friends.
Well,
I've had a lot of fair weather friends too. I know about them too. But I don't let that upset me. I do about what I think's right and then let it go from there.
Have a clear conscience.
That's right. I'm not always voted right, but I've had to
Yeah,
do
I'd
over
say
a few
that's
times
true,
I
too.
wouldn't vote the way I do.
I'd say that's true too. I'd say you haven't always voted right.
That's right, but more big in the time. I'd say 90% of the time.
Oh,
So
Well,
when
I've-
people talk about the good old days, would you ever want to go back
Oh,
to
no,
the good old
not
days?
them old buggy days. I don't know part of that.
The days before electricity?
No, I don't want that. For electricity, yeah, I don't want to go back to them old days. I like it now. I could buy a sack of 25-pound pack of a white lily flower for 35 cents, but I didn't have the 35 cents.
Was that during the Depression?
Yeah, I had a housekeeper that stayed around the clock. I had a sick wife. $2.50 a week. Now that's unheard of, and I couldn't hardly get a hold of that $2.50. I was working. I'd stay open till 1 o'clock in the morning, and all that stuff back then, doing a little everything, trying to make that $2.50 is hard to come by. But you could take, I was telling him, you could take $5 and you couldn't haul them in a pickup truck and buy a grocery. But nobody had the $5. There's 25 or 30 people when that Norris Dam started. The boys had been working away from home, been out of a job for 2 or 3 years. Helping me around there. I paid my head mechanic $18 a week, and he is the best in the country. Paid his helpers $8 and $10 a week. Went back and fixing them old Model T truck cars and stuff.
So people had some opportunities to get better jobs then when
Oh,
they
yeah,
started
when Norris, that's when they got, I loaned the boys money to go to Norris and get started, a lot of them. They hadn't they wound up good jobs, and they're all dead and gone now, the trouble. Yeah. But I had a lot of people working for the state of trading with me. When all the banks went broke and the depression hit, well, they all got out of a job. And boy, my business died out too. I like to, well, I just woke up and I brought a man in town to make a point to the banker, and he said, well, I just lay in there. I said, you're no worse off than anybody else. I was broke. I knew I was. Couldn't even pay the interest on my money. But we
How
made
long
it.
was it like that?
Well, it started when Roosevelt got elected. Started up in 35 or 6, and kept getting better, and this is the first deal. When in '41, I borrowed the first money I ever sent my oldest daughter to Maryville College. Never had to borrow no more thereafter.
That's great.
And she was about, I think the base pay over there was $600 and some. That beside their books. And the last girl that went was 6,000 and some. Now it's about 12 or 15,000, I guess. But I'm a Methodist, and they all, well, I sent them to Presbyterian school, and they all married Presbyterian. I didn't like that much. And some of them Republicans even. You can cut out all this junk you don't in there.
No, you're doing great. You were talking, mentioned earlier about your opinion of TVA and that TVA's done some good things. What do you think TVA needs to be doing to make sure that the current generation has these kinds of thoughts about TVA in the future?
Well, I don't know. Pump more money into these co-ops, I guess. I really don't know, but there's a lot of things to be done. A lot of things yet. I think this nuclear power and all that's got to come through it. I think that these steam plants and stuff's going to have to go. They're done wore out already, aren't they?
A lot of them are pretty old.
They're pretty old,
But
isn't
they're
it?
still working.
Well, as long as they're working, we need to get the good of them, don't we?
Yeah. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Need to get some good men in there now to take place of these fellas. We've had some good folks in there.
We've
I
got
like
some
John
good
Waters
folks in
all
there
right.
now.
I like John Waters. He's a good man, but
You don't know the other
politics
gentleman
don't work that
well,
way. How's that?
You don't know the other gentleman, do you, Mr.
No, I
Connolly?
don't. I don't know that. None of them elected Virginia years, are they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, I think maybe that's important. You don't want me to say nothing now, no.
Well, I think electrical engineering is important, but I think a business sense
Yeah,
is very
yeah.
important too, because
Yeah, that's
TVA
right.
is a big business, not
I
only
know
in
that money is,
engineering.
that business, that's where Runyon shined. He didn't know nothing about electricity. He knew how to leave it with you, though. Leave the co-op.
He got things in good shape when he left, though, didn't he?
For you, for him, yeah.
Yeah.
And for the TVA, which is all right with me. I think ain't no Santa Claus. You got to pay your way, and I think it's, I'm the,
What do you think the biggest challenge is facing TVA right now?
well, I think it's blame gas companies the biggest thing now.
Competition?
Yeah, competition. We're going to have to do something. They're eating their lunch. Or they are ours, aren't they?
Yes.
And we're not hurting you as bad as a lot of them. We're doing pretty good as of right now. But I think we're going to have to, I don't know what route you take. You're going to have to get it over these people somewhere or another.
Educate. the
Educate
consumers.
these people and show them where they're wrong on this gas thing. You don't hear a thing about this woman and little boy getting dead down there at the found. They ain't put that on TV or nothing. You ain't heard a thing about this Mountain City deal up here. It hadn't been put. That's what I think. That all come out. Put it on the news. Blowed up half Mountain City, and then you hear nothing about it the next day, you know, and this, all this blowing up it's got over the country. I think that would help if you just get that up.
Mm-hmm.
And like they find this lady and her little grandson dead down in that house leaking a hot water heater. That can happen anywhere.
From a gas leak?
Yeah, a gas leak. I think they need to get that on. I told Joe Atwood to send us a deal on that up there. We'd run it on the radio.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be afraid to run it on the radio as long as it's true. But anyway,
What do you think our mission should be for the future?
TVA mission.
well, I'd say keep up the good work that's going on, pick it up and upgrade it, I think, and stay in there. Get along with Congress and Washington, that's important, and get this money. Now, they're not out nothing except some of this appropriation, of course, but they not bother the power bill. They don't bother them. There's not nobody else nothing on it. That's what I can't understand, why they want to get rid of the REA and all that stuff, all this bunch in the last 12, 15 years. Why they want to get rid of it? I think they want to sell TVA. You know, Eisenhower said it was creeping socialism. Then Nixon had it ready to go, and Bush and Reagan never did like it, and they tried to get rid of the REA. Go to Washington every year, that bunch does, fighting that thing. It's all it saved it. It's all it saved it. And I think Bob Bergman, biggest help on that of any man in the country. I think he's done more for that. But I can't understand them when it's not costing the taxpayers nothing. They even made a little money out of that REA deal one year there. Little, 13 million, of course, just a little. Like Hoagie Roberts said, $1 million wasn't much now. $1 billion wasn't much money on TV, and Sam Dawes said, ho, ho, ho. He fixed her. She said the wrong thing there. Said $1 billion wasn't no money. About
Million here,
billion,
there,
yeah,
and all
that's
that.
right.
Yeah.
$2 over there.
What are some of the biggest needs that you have in the rural areas that TVA can assist the co-ops with?
Well, there's a lot of needs, some more than others, and I don't know, just we'll pick out one. I think we need to keep heavying up and building more substations, just like the Oak Grove deal. Need one bad there, and it's ready to break earth. They ain't break dirt, ain't it? So we need one there and just keep. I think one of our biggest deals when we took over these substations and built our warehouse, built our center down there. I think that's one of the biggest. Garage across, repair shop across the street. I think all of them has been good. I know they've been good. I'd say we're saving 40 or 50% on repairs right just having a garage of our own mechanics. And I wish we'd have bought all that land down there. I worked 2 years to get that building down there. They were afraid we were going to leave Jeff with it, you know, and build the office. The office ought to have been down there then.
You're talking about the operations center.
The operations center. That's been one of our main big improvements, I think. And them substations, we got them.
Would you say that TVA has been a yardstick for the measuring the community development?
Yes, sir. They have. Big. I think it's been a yardstick in a way for the whole country, the whole United States, I think, Ken. I definitely think that. They won't admit it up east and up north. They think they're helping us pay, but they're not. We have to pay for their dams, Boulder dams and all that. But they claim they're helping us, but they ain't done nothing. They're just jealous we're getting all our TVA's getting their industrial down this way. That's what's the matter with them, Michigan and all of them.
I guess
They don't like us up that way. You've heard them talk. Go to Washington and get them. I had a bunch down on the street there laying it down to them. Charlie Boss thought I was preaching.
You go to the drugstore about twice a day over there.
I go once a day up there, just sees the boys.
They always kidding you about conducting class. What kind of classes do you teach up there?
Anything that comes up, I know about it, you know. I tell them I'm smart.
Politically, are you outnumbered up
Oh,
there?
good Lord, about 10 to 1. Yeah, sometimes I'm the only Democrat in there. Yeah. There's about 22 or 3 comes there every morning. They'll wonder where I'm at. They think I'm out of town this morning. I didn't go.
They'll be
wonder where
worried
I'm
about
at.
you,
Yeah,
won't
I'll go in and see and let them know I'm not gone. They'll say, who's going to feed you today? Yeah, we've had a good time. I've had a good relation with the boys, Republicans. Every good thing I've had, these Republicans give to me ought to be good to them.
But you're a Democrat.
Yeah, when I went on the board over here, there wasn't but one Democrat on it. I've got more now. About half of them down. And I went into county court. I beat some of the best Republicans in the county, so they've been good to me. Road commissioner, they put me on there. They're all Republican. This is a strong Republican county, about 5 to 1. They've been good to me. Jimmy Quillen's my best friend there, yes, in Washington, and he's a Republican. Me and him made the
National Rural
made the
Rural Electrification Magazine.
on front page.
Front page.
We didn't know it. He'd been to this ramp festival and he had on a necktie. It had a lot of little elephants. I said, Congressman, that's pretty tight if you had that junk off of them there. He said, I'll give you this tie if you wear it to that drugstore. And we were shaking hands and laughing. They got our picture and it made that. I didn't know it till Ken called me. I didn't know it. I framed that. Well, they framed it in Nashville for me, didn't they?
Right.
What kind of changes have you seen occur in the co-op over these 34 years that
Oh,
you've
an
been?
awful lot of them. It went from about 10,000 to 30,000. One thing, since I've been on the board.
Talking about members, customers.
Yeah, customers. That's since I've been on the board. Been all kind of changes, everything. Changed for the good to the better. It hasn't hurt anything that I know of. Nothing that I know of.
What do you think the biggest challenge facing the co-op is
Well,
for the future?
try to keep up with this consumers and stuff, try to heavy up and keep going. I think we got a pretty good manager.
Yeah, he's
I'm
good.
gonna leave him alone for a little while. I think we got the best managed deal. I think he's got a good staff, Ken has.
Right.
And all three of these managers have been extra good. Balch and Roy Hendricks, for a few years he was sick, but he was good. He'd be lost now. And of course Charlie began to get, he's been out to it. You got now like used cars, I don't know nothing about them now. Used to just meet one on the road and tell you what more, but I couldn't now anymore. And that's just like this. Ken could lay out a couple of years and he'd be lost. They're doing a good job and trying to get along, and we are getting along. We had the best year last year we ever had, didn't we, Ken?
Right.
I think Ken and his staff's a lot responsible. Of course, I'm going to take a little credit.
Good leadership.
We
from
have
the
good
board.
leadership, that's right.
Well, we got a good board, too. Good board, haven't we, Ken?
We have a good unified board.
We've had it ever since I've been on there, a good board. Mr. Bill Ellis is a good man. He's on that board. He was president for a long time. Joe Chapman's a good man. He got sick and got off. That's when I took his place as president.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just one man on there, sir, when I got on. That's just Jim Bell. There's been several times. There's been quite a turnover in the... But we're lucky. Ken's been in there 20-some years, hasn't he?
Well, this is my 27th year.
And he had some good training. I got after Charlie one time about where he treated Ken about sending him somewhere. He wouldn't go himself, but he sent Ken. I said, why didn't you go? He said, send Ken. I said, wasn't right. He said, hell, that's part of his damn training. You never did know Charlie, did you?
No.
We had to go.
You
We had to
have to
go
know him to
discipline.
appreciate that.
We had to go discipline some employees that morning, and that was part of my training.
But he was a lot good for you, wasn't he, Ken?
Yes, it was.
He's good for me, too. You know, I never knew nothing about electrician much. And I think I know $1 from two and a little bit of, never could handle my own business much, so I guess it isn't.
Well, I don't think you're
Made a living.
a pauper, I know
See,
that.
you know that little piece I gave you in that book about educating your children?
Right.
And you didn't have nothing left but 10. That's about right when you educate. When you had 3 in college at the same time. Boy.
Said what he's talking about is be nice to your parents after sending you to school. You're all they have left.
Yeah, that's in there. That's a lot of truth in that, too. But I had a nice family. Never had any trouble with my family. I've got 12 grandchildren, all of them through college. Got jobs. And school teachers, got 6, 7 doctors in my family. 1 or 2 preachers, and 1 architect, and no funeral man. I've got to get me an undertaker, but but I've got 1 great grandson starts to college this year. He's going to Wake Forest. Huh?
Wake Forest. That's
Yeah,
a good
I believe
Baptist,
that's where he's
good
going.
Baptist school.
He had Georgia Tech in mind and stuff. And
Did you hear what I said?
I had a grandson finish work, so he's in the custom with the government now. Sounds like he's going to get stepped up pretty good, maybe. He didn't want me to say nothing about it.
So you must think education's important.
Oh, it is. I didn't get mine. I thought that $6 a day that I was going to make, my daddy had me, and he was able to send me. I was going to Cullowhee, North Carolina. Cullowhee is a Methodist school land.
Was that a college?
Yeah, and it's Western North Carolina State now. It was a Methodist school then. I had two sisters went there, and he had me all fixed. And I pulled out and went up to New Jersey.
Never went back
Cost
to
me an
college?
education, huh?
Did you finish college?
No, I didn't. I didn't even get there.
But you've encouraged all your
Oh
children.
yeah, that was a must at our house. Must. My wife was a school teacher, their mother, and that was a must at our house. Two of them, one of them wanted to go this old, and she wanted to go bad, but the other one, she'd have come home anytime I'd let her, but she finally made it.
Roy has a grandson that's a psychiatrist and MD out in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, I seen him Christmas. He's asking about you.
And then he's got a granddaughter that is a CPA that decided she wanted to go back to school, and she became a doctor.
Yeah, got her thing, and she's going to work for. She's teaching in Alabama Med School this year, 1 year. Seen her at Christmas. And
Has a
I've got a
son-in-law that's a doctor over in North Carolina.
he's a psycho. I got one in Macon, Georgia. He's a kidney man. And I got this boy in the seminary, teaching seminar in Louisville, grandson. He's got his doctor's degree, and that son-in-law in Nashville and Birmingham got his doctor's degree. And got one dentist in the family, too.
So you're covered all the way around.
Oh, yeah, trouble. I feel sort of funny when I get around them. Like this one granddaughter furnished Harvard Ford Foundation Center there. They give her $28,000 a year. That's unreal, ain't it? And she had 5 years there, and then she worked for Ford, went to Mexico City and worked for them for 2 or 3, and she married, and now she's living in, her husband teaching in Harvard, and she's living in Massachusetts now, and she's gone to seminary now, Methodist
really?
seminary. I believe she's going to start preaching or something.
Is that your daughter or
Granddaughter.
granddaughter?
Yeah. Yeah, and she. Yeah, I've got them everywhere. Have a big time with them, my great-grandchildren. They all call me Roy, them little ones do. All of them.
Roy boy.
Yeah. I got a thank you note I sent this 16-year-old making a little money for his birthday, and he's courting a lot. And I had to stretch it a little bit and wrote me, and he signed it, Roy's boy.
Oh.
He's a little fella, he's all, we've had a good time.
What was this saying you were always telling me about arguing with the what? Something your daddy told you?
No, I ain't gonna tell that. He'd allowed to put that in there. And they'd fix me in East Tennessee
Well,
if he ever
what
should.
was it?
Well, my daddy said, now he never said it, but I've always told him he did.
Okay.
Said to never vote for a Republican or argue with a fool. Now, he didn't say that, but I always tell him my daddy said that, but he didn't.
What was this story you used to tell about the baptism over
No,
in
now,
Maggie
she don't want to
Valley?
hear that, and he better put that
I
on
think
there.
you've told me that before. It's a good story. I think you should tell it.
About the revival over
Yeah,
there.
they had this little Baptist church there. We lived close to that. My daddy was superintendent of Sunday schools there in that little Baptist. We was Methodist, but it was up about 2 miles, 3 miles where I went to school, up the creek. But he went and he made us go to church there. And he'd have a revival there every year. 35, 40 people, and they'd holler and squeal and go on and jump out the windows.
They were Methodists, I presume.
No, they was Baptists.
Oh.
And this old girl there in the community, she'd get religion every year and be baptized. And they baptized. You ever been to Maggie Valley?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get off to go up off Interstate 40, that's where I grew up, right there.
okay.
Smack dab off in them, and they were where the baptizing was right there too. So we had this big revival, and she got religion again. Preacher come her time, and they let her out in the creek there, and he threw her in her hind parts, flew out of the water. And this drunk up on the bank said, "Hey, preacher," said, "put that other end under. It's the one's giving all the trouble around." Now I'm going to Virginia, kill me.
We
She
won't
know
tell
that.
Virginia that
We
you
Oh,
said
she is upset when I left her. I'd go into all this junk. I don't know why. That's
she
always
don't-
been
If she don't
nature.
kill you for telling how old she
You
is, she's
can't
not
change.
going to
You
kill you
can't
for
hardly
this.
change your personality, can you? You're not at 90 years old.
I'd say you're pretty set in your ways now.
Yeah, I am pretty well. No, I give and take. I'm pretty well about giving in when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
He convinced me once in a while. Several things like lately that he's convinced me. And he's right. He's adding it up right, looks like.
So you're willing to
One
change?
thing on this
Yeah, he is. That's something you can say about Mr. Roy.
meter reading, I thought he was bad wrong about that thing, but it's worked out. It's fine. So I give it
That's
credit.
something I can say about him. He's 90 years old. He's set in his ways, but he's willing to change and take a look
Yeah, I
at
think you got to have
new
a change.
techniques and new ways of doing things.
TV's got to change. Co-op, our church has got to change. Some people can't work without them changing, but you got these old people don't need to be taking over a church, you know?
Old people.
Yeah, like me. I'm not doing them. They're getting along good without me. I'm on the official board, and that's all. But they're getting along fine, better than they ever did with me. I'm willing.
You're an appointee for the governor. What is that?
Commission on Aging.
What do you
Take care of
do?
you old people. Yeah,
What
better
do
meetings.
you do on that?
Well, all these programs, Department of Human Service, and all these programs coming on. We vote on that, we work that up and work with legislature on them. And I'm chairing a committee now to cut your spending down on these travels.
Well,
A lot of
as long as you
using that
cut
travel
yours,
bin.
as long as you cut yours also, I don't mind.
Well, I will if they pay me. This is a free job too. They don't pay me nothing. Mrs. Gore, I'm now chairing a committee on this. Mrs. Albert Senior Gore's on. I put her on my committee, and she's in Washington now and can't meet. We're supposed to meet the 2nd, but she can't meet now, and we put it off. She's a lawyer, you know, smart. She's 80 years old, better, and she's smart.
She's
as
just a
she can be.
youngster, isn't she?
Huh?
She's just a youngster, isn't she?
Yeah, but she's smart, boy. I listen to her. I get a lot of good advice through that girl. She knows it. And she's been fussing about this transportation abuse. Somebody going taking the whole crew with them, you know, and out of the state. And she's been fussing about the reason I put her on my committee.
He was a smart
They
man.
asked me to chair it, but
What advice do you have for young people growing up today? Advice maybe that your father gave you when you were
oh,
growing up?
Lord, they wouldn't put up with him. Yes, he wouldn't put up with that boy. He was some poppy. He was a good one, but you told the mark in him. He never touched whiskey, didn't cuss, you done what he told you. He said, get up in the morning. You'd better get up that morning. He's a good daddy, though.
Well, what kind of advice are you going to give us young people?
Well, stay off these drugs and whiskey and work. Work hard. Use your head. You've always got a good brain if you just use it. And I think you are using it. Big Andy Holt, I heard him make a talk one time in Memphis. He had 38,000 students in the University of Tennessee all over the state. And he said that's a lot of children, and said there's about 2% of them bad, and that's all. Now, you hear from the bad ones, but you don't hear from them. About 2%, he said, was all that give any trouble. And I think that's true today, don't you think it is? Mm-hmm. You've always got a bunch of deadwood in every organization, having TVA, and say Ken might have one or two, too.
Probably do.
You've always got a little fat there, and you always will have. Anything big is a little waste, you know. You can't get around it. Like I said, most of these organizations got 8 cows on one grass. And I asked an old boy out from White Pine, he liked to starve his cattle to death. And I asked his neighbors what was wrong with him. He stuttered. He said, well, he got too many cows on one grass. And that's the way I've always thought that was pretty true about working people. It takes 8 men to do one man's work. There's something wrong, and that's what's got your country in bad shape, too. That's got this country. If they'd address that and get production, it's everything else straightens itself out, I think. I think if you get production, it straightens things out. But with the labor union things, it's hard to get. Cape Florida man. Remember we had a man climbing a pole here stealing the transformer. Now they're lowering us, suing you. Some jury's liable to give him some.
Sure.
But you go to these courthouses and watch them pick the jury, too. That didn't used to happen. they'll put one or two on there that'll tie that thing up every time. Now, if you got a lawsuit, get your lawyer can pick your jury and your witnesses. We had a lawyer here in Jefferson County once. A fellow called him in Franklin Park, out of Florida. Somebody got killed, wanted him to come down and represent him. And he said, well, send me $10,000 and said, I'll pick the jury and the witness and come down there. And he'd pick the witnesses, wouldn't he? He's that kind. Anyway, I don't have the answer to all this junk either. I'm wrong. I catch myself wrong a lot of time. A lot of time. Like I promised Virginia today that I wouldn't be telling all this junk.
I'd say she'd probably forgive you even if she knew.
Yeah. Well, could talk a long time, a lot of things. I sure ain't told you all of them. I'm not going to tell you all of them.
Well,
I haven't been the best boy in the world, you know.
Do you mind if I tell the parts that you haven't told? I mean, all the parts that you've told me.
No, Ken knows too much.
I will tell this on him. He's talking about being a politician. He's not one, you know, but he's on the Commission on Aging and all of his political influence he has in the county. He was going to Washington, D.C. one time with Mr. Balch, who's the former manager, and he was flying up through there. The speed limit, I think, was, what, 55? Is that when they made it 55?
Yeah.
And he passed a state trooper on the wrong side.
Making 85.
Making 85. And when he stopped, the trooper pulled him over, and Mr. Balch says, that trooper wants you to slow down up here. So he pulled over the side of the road. He got out and started talking to that trooper, and he said, it's hard to keep this car under 65. He said, the speed limit is not but 55. He said, oh, he said, I didn't know that.
I talked to him home and shook hands when Charlie sitting up in the car, wouldn't look back, you know. And I shook hands with him. I done talked him out of it. And he said, you better watch now, they'll get you up here. And I hadn't drove 10 miles, and there was another, and I was going, and I just pulled over on the shoulder, and I didn't drive another step. I made as a Culpeper.
Culpeper.
Driving that Chrysler. No, there's a truck or something on the other lane where I said, hey, fella, you driving that Chrysler there? I said, the law wants you to stop. I knew it. There's a hunting place where to pull off. Anyway, we had him Ken know he got caught once with me. He didn't talk him out here. Anyway,
I'm just trying to catch up with you, Esther.
you have a long ways to go on that. I've been stopped a lot of times. Never have paid but one fine, though. And I paid it. I was over in Salisbury visiting my daughter, and me and Virginia one Christmas. I drifted off hell in that Cadillac, old Cadillac I had. He was sitting there and got me. And I could have got out of that, but I just sent them $40 and forgot it, because I know they want to go back over it, you know. That's the only fine I ever paid. But I bought me a pair of glasses. I've gone to driving again.
90 years old and just got him a pair of glasses.
Yeah, I ought to have had them a year ago.
Yeah, he told me he only needs them for seeing distance. He doesn't need them for reading.
No, I read the finest print you can put up, I kid. But, boy, my driving is so much different. Now, I can't tell.
You can actually see where you're going now, huh?
Huh?
You can actually see where you're going.
Yeah. Now I can see him pretty good, though. Yeah, I like my glasses.
No,
Doctor Hyatt said my eyes had changed right opposite it was 12 years ago. Well, I had to have glasses to read a little now then. Anyway, pretty good.
Mr. Messer, we do appreciate you taking time out to do this for us.
Well, appreciate you get to do it, but the thing about now this year, all this year going on, I don't want to dwell on that.
Well, we'll cut out.
You'd embarrass that whole board if you put everything I've said on that.
We'll take out the
I'll never be president no more if you couldn't show it.
We'll take out the part where you tell Virginia's age.
Yeah. I'm glad she didn't get to come.
I was hoping she'd be here.
Well,
she could have really controlled what you
she
said.
couldn't have made it anyway. Well, she had this girl set up, and you don't get them to come if you ever let them down. Gets her once every 2 or 3 weeks or something. And this is the morning. And she
No.
talks a lot. And Virginia will turn the radio on to keep from her talking to her.
We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share with us your thoughts on TVA and some of your background and the conditions of living back when you were growing up and compared with the conditions of living today. And we appreciate you doing
Well, my
that for us.
thing is, my first priority is Appalachian Co-op and TVA. I've got a lot of other things going, but that's my priority. And Ken has never heard me say too bad a thing about the TVA. I'm about the only man go to these meetings will take up for them, looks like. These managers got mad at David Freeman, you know, he wasn't listening to him, but I'm the only man that takes up for David.
Well, that's because you don't know any better.
Well, we appreciate your support, and we appreciate Ken's support. And,
Yeah,
I've enjoyed working with you since I've been
Well,
here,
I've
and I'm
enjoyed
glad
seeing
you've had a
working with
good
you, too.
relationship with TVA.
We got to have you again next meeting there, they won't.
Yes, in October.
We like people coming to brag on us.
But no, we like people to tell the truth
Well,
on
that's
us.
right, and I think if you tell the truth, we are doing a good
You
job.
are.
He is, I think.
I couldn't do
I
what
guess
I'm
there's a
doing
few
without the
things, maybe.
board support, you know that.
Me and Ken both getting on an awful lot of committees, though.
But that's good, because we need people like you to have some
Getting
influence
often.
on some of the decisions.
I've got a lot of them. Too many. Christmas party, I had 2 then, same hour. I made one half, he made the other, now he's having his Christmas party. Finally made it down, got along all right, didn't it?
Yes.
I know she got along without me, that's what hurt my feelings.
Oh,
Listen, you can have a good time with these things too, and then do the, I think
true.
you're supposed to. This
Yeah.
You're supposed to enjoy what you're
graphing
doing.
and fussing not going to help nobody or get anything done.
Work should be fun.
You're supposed to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, you got to enjoy your work. If you don't, you better quit and go somewhere else.
That's right.
That's right.